liar. Everywhere. On netrootsradio.com. David Waldman. Kagro. In the morning. Now, here's David Waldman.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing? It is Thursday, June 18th, 2026. Time for a parade. I guess time for another show as well. Let's see if we can't squeeze that in between now and then. The Knicks Victory Parade, because they had a victory. I don't know if you've heard. We haven't covered it much on the show. Big parade in, like the quintessential parade, New York City, Canyon of Heroes. I guess ticker tape if they still have that stuff. I think now they just have small pieces of paper that they just throw at people for no particular reason. I don't know. All the big deal, everything that you would imagine New York is going to do. If you were thinking of going and you're not there yet, forget it, because there's no way you can get there. Greg has all the updates. He's got video. He's got pictures. He's got garbage cans. So that's just a teaser for you. And you'll hear all about it, I'm sure. Plus, of course, if you weren't necessarily paying attention to that, maybe you were paying attention to the, the horrific fallout of what I gather Trump and his minions continue to insist is the end of the Iran war, even though none of the language involved in it actually suggests that that is the case. The language is out. It is there. And then, of course, historic blindness, I guess, historic ignorance led Trump to sign this memorandum of agreement, of understanding, and it's a foolish mistake to even call it that. I mean, I guess you could get away with calling it a memorandum, but to say understanding is ridiculous. There's no understanding on anybody's part. I also haven't seen anybody compare the English text and whatever may have been handed over in Farsi or whatever language they decided to do it in. That was the problem the last time around, and I doubt very much whether they've been able to fix it. But all sorts of incredible symbolism, which, of course, I think you already know what we're talking about because you guys pay attention to the news. That's the point of the show. We should get right to it. Thursday, time is at a premium, and I don't know how much it costs. So inflation has made it worse, I am sure. And so as a result, no butter for you, only margarine, which I imagine is much cheaper. Greg is here in imperial fashion. Good morning, Greg. How are you, and have you got your spot for the parade?
No, I'm not there yet, and so, if you're not there, don't bother. Lower Manhattan is closed. Everything is painted orange and blue, Nick colors.
Right. Also, Trump's
the parade, I think, starts at 10, but New York City, of course, Man Downey got you covered. You can go online and see it live if you want to.
Okay.
Welcome live.
Yeah, you can go. Can you go to a bus stop and watch it on the link?
Probably.
Maybe. Yeah, right. They've got, I did see somebody say an innovative solution if you were interested. I mean, it'll be televised, I assume, but maybe if you're outside of the area, you can watch the parade on traffic surveillance cameras online if you want to feel a little Big Brother-ish about it.
Right, but there's a number of ways. Basically, there's going to be a giant watch party for the parade, and everybody's having fun. Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson threw out the first ball at Yankee Stadium. They went on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. They're having a ball, and they should, because New York is celebrating, and there'll never be anything like this again because there won't.
Yeah, I think the owner is already breaking the team up for parts. So.
Well, the owner already committed them to go to the White House after the team said they didn't want to go because he's a jerk. He said, "No, Trump is my friend for 30 years. We're going." Yeah. And we don't know what happens after that. We don't know who's going to say no thanks, no thanks.
Right. I mean, I guess unless you round them
up,
they
may have to go just to keep the peace because he's the boss.
Could be right. They could get fined by the organization, but all right. Well, we'll see. All right.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Just say they have to behave themselves when they get there.
Just go and see if he stays awake and just leave it at that. So,
right. Go to the Kennedy
what do you
Center.
want to talk about? Do you want to talk about elections,
No.
or do you want to talk about
Nothing.
the war? Which do you want to do first?
Margarine. All right. Well, let's do the elections thing. I feel obligated to pay attention to the United States of America.
All right. So we'll start by paying attention to the United States of America by covering the Andy Burnham Makerfield by-election in England.
Well, United is in there.
Yeah.
Fine.
Andy Burnham is, at the moment, the most popular politician in the UK, likely to be the next UK Prime Minister, but there's a technical issue.
He's a dog.
There's a process issue.
No one said a dog can't be a... All right.
Yeah, you can be on the internet if you're a dog, but nobody said anything about being Prime Minister.
Okay.
Larry the Cat is not running.
Oh, good.
The problem is that Andy Burnham right now is a mayor, and a very popular one at that.
Oh, is that...
but he's not in Parliament.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The Prime Minister means like the first number one minister, first among equals, right?
Yes.
He's not a minister. He's not even a member of Parliament.
I don't think I must not know this story. I don't know what's going on here.
So you got to be in.
Not like us with our allegedly you can make a Speaker of the House out of anybody, but that's not
right. Exactly
really true.
You got to be in to do the deal here.
You got to be in it to win it, folks.
There's a by-election today, and if he wins, he's in Parliament. Once he's in Parliament, then he can oust Keir Starmer, who is incredibly unpopular.
I missed this whole story. I was very caught up.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to tell you this.
Very caught up in our independence from England at the moment. So a guy has assumed the mantle of leadership of the party from his mayoral seat.
Yeah, he's been an MP in the past, and then he stepped back to be mayor, and now he's coming back. So people know him. He's got the creds. Right. He's got the experience, that sort of thing. You know, it's not like totally out of the blue. But Keir Starmer is so unpopular that it is in fact likely to happen.
That is amazing, and I missed the whole thing. And sorry, English people, but you probably knew no one cared.
Well, there's a World Cup going on in England, so we weren't paying attention.
Yes,
the polls have opened in Makerfield. Just so you know, it's underway.
Good. It's only
between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. local time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And it is
they vote for
5
one
hours
candidate
ahead there.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so Keir Starmer's hunkering down, says the news.
No one ever hunkers up anymore.
Could be another tough by-election for Nigel Farage. Andy Burnham win might mean for Labour, but a Reform UK loss in that same by-election will crank up the nerves among the reformers, who are being pushed by yet another right-wing party.
Oh, good.
And so there's a whole lot going on. So I just thought I would start with that and make sure people are aware.
All right. Well, I was not. So, yeah, that's interesting. All right. So do your work there and stick that guy in Parliament so you can use him for your PM as an MP.
Right. So Trump feuds with Thune and GOP, says the New York Times, stoking election year rift. We talked about some of this yesterday. It has to do with who's going to be the Director of National Intelligence. And Bill Pulte is the guy that Trump wants, and he wants him even though he knows his party doesn't want him. He doesn't care because he wants him to screw around with the midterms.
Yeah.
And so he came up with some excuses as to why he's not going to offer the person he said he was going to be the permanent person that the Republicans would have accepted, and the Democrats probably reluctantly would have accepted because it's better than Bill Pulte. And Trump saw that and said, "Oh my God, they're going to go for it.
Yeah,
I thought that they would stall. They're not. So I'm just going to pull that nomination altogether and leave Bill Pulte there." And that's got Republicans fuming. Or as the subheading says, the president upended the majority leader's plans by yanking his intelligence nominee from a confirmation hearing and insisting on an end to the filibuster. He wants the end of the filibuster. He wants the SAVE Act to pass.
Oh, right. Okay, that's why.
He wants the parliamentarian fired.
Yeah.
And if you don't do everything I ask, I'm keeping Bill Pulte here. And if you step back and look at the whole big picture here, there's probably two separate things going on, which are in parallel but in tandem.
All right.
Number one, he really wants Bill Pulte because he wants to screw around with the midterms. Mm-hmm. And number two, when he can't get his way, throughout his career, his MO for this is induce and inject chaos, and maybe something better than the lousy deal I have right now might come out of it. You saw that with Iran, which we'll get to.
Maybe we should ask them how it went.
Yeah, well, it doesn't always work. In fact, it rarely works.
Okay, yeah.
But in the short term, it does, because people get so upset about what's going on, they stop paying attention to the fact that he's a complete failure and he lost.
All right, that's a plan.
Right? So, the remarkable Senate tumult imperiled an expired intelligence law and shifted the political conversation away from the GOP's preferred midterm message on tax cuts and affordability, so they're not happy.
Affordability, that's made up.
But these moves are seen by many Republicans as slaps at Mr. Thune and clear indications the president was putting his personal political grievances and desires ahead of the interests of the party. Duh. What are these people, stupid?
Hi, welcome
to
the
United States. It's 10 frickin' years of this.
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of people, I don't know, magically waking up. I don't know how it happened. But I just realized you can't make a deal with this guy. Yeah, huh? All right.
Right. Everybody knows that. Netanyahu found out the hard way. Well, again, we'll get to that. And many of them, including Mr. Thune, have declined to praise his ceasefire deal with Iran, noting he hadn't been briefed. Asked on Wednesday what he thought Mr. Trump was trying to achieve with all of this, Mr. Thune said, "Good question."
Yeah. Nobody knows. You really cannot even guess. You won't believe the things he said he was trying to achieve yesterday. Holy cow.
Right. So, Republicans privately suggested that Trump's ire could have to do with Thune agreeing with Democrats that Pulte was unqualified. Whatever the reason, Senate Republicans said the discord was very unsettling. The president has put Leader Thune in a very difficult position, said Susan Collins. She's probably troubled by it. Yeah, asked to describe the dynamic between the White House and Senate Republicans, Tom Tillis said, less than optimal.
All right. Thanks for finding your backbone there, Tom.
Right. So where are we at? Anything about this article that's of interest? Not really. So that's the background. Meanwhile, a new Fox polls comes out. You'll find that the polls these days have stopped going down for Trump. I wouldn't go so far as to say they're going up, but they're sort of leveling out at the moment. That often happens.
There was very little space to go down.
Exactly. Another poll with Trump below 50% among white voters without a college degree. That's really the important part here. White college, no degree. Men are 50-50, and women are against 33-4-67 in terms of approval. That's approve, disapprove.
Okay. 67 against. Okay. That's sensible.
White, no degree women, 45-55. White degree, no degree men, 50-50. So another poll with Trump below 50% among white voters without a college degree. He won 2/3 of them in all three of his races for president. And even in the 2018 exit, which the Democrats did okay on, his approval was 61. Democrats have a lot of barriers with those voters, but those blue-collar Trump doubts open up their 2026 map.
Yeah.
The point is, and again, we've said this, you've said it, I've said it, you have to say that over and over and over, because that's how adults learn. Let me say that again, adults learn by repetition.
Right.
So the thing is, these voters aren't necessarily going to vote for Democrats. They might, but probably not. What they might do, though, is vote for independents.
Oh.
You see that in places like Nebraska. More importantly,
maybe what we give them,
they might just stay home.
Right. And that would be fine.
Would be okay.
Sure, absolutely. It's terrific. It's great for traffic for the rest of us. Lowers prices at the pump by destroying demand. Excellent. I don't know. Yeah, I can't see them being terribly excited to go out. I was thinking as you were running through it, the white, no college voter, or no degree anyway, could be some college. They always have that on there as an option. But it occurred to me as I'm watching all the Iran developments, like this is the sort of thing that works against him with these folks. Like they're not going to be very patient, I don't think, in trying to find an alternative explanation for, wait a minute, we're giving them $300 billion? What? Oh, well, there's contributions being made from other countries, and it's the kind of thing that makes them say, I I just heard the first part. What are you doing?
And we'll go over some of them saying that, but that's for the people paying attention. For the people not paying attention is, I hear we lost, but you said that getting out of this, which was stupid, was going to lower the price of gas. I don't see my gas going down.
There's that too. Yeah. I mean, I just don't think they're going to have the patience. If they're confronted with an explanation and somebody says, well, this is happening. I wasn't paying any attention, but now that you told me, holy crap, it's worse than I thought.
Well, also, I'm going to give you an idea of just how saturated
how do you play
this failure is.
All right.
So I think that's important. But to finish up on the Fox News polls, Ron Brownstein says Fox News also joins the polls with about 1 out of 5 Trump 2024 voters now disapproving of his performance.
All right.
Not too many of them may vote Democrat, but how many will register the disenchantment by not voting at all? It's a midterm.
Yes. At least one of those 5.
Right. Now, campaigns matter and candidates matter.
Yes.
And our young friend Niles Francis, who's a pretty good election analyst, lives in Georgia, looking at Georgia right now. He says the Georgia GOP's chances of holding on to power in this state hinge on 2 groypers and a random billionaire.
What a collection. All right.
Right. So he's got Mike Collins running against John Ossoff.
I guess. Yeah.
And Collins will lose. Greg Dolezal, who's going to be lieutenant governor, and Rick Jackson's going to be the governor candidate for the Republicans. And as we said the other day, the lieutenant governor we haven't talked about much, but that candidate for the Democrats is pretty solid. And then Keisha Lance Bottoms, while controversial, was leading Rick Jackson by about 12, 14 points in the last poll I saw.
Who's the billionaire? I don't actually know.
Rick Jackson.
Okay. Just checking. Why is he a billionaire?
He's got a rags to riches story, but how did he make his money? I really don't know.
Stole the rags. Probably. Okay. I don't know. I'll have to look that up, but we'll see how that goes. And Dolezal, not a great name to run on anywhere with a large black population, I guess.
Right. Amy Walter.
Yeah.
June 17, 2026. Unfortunately paywalled, but Cook Political Report with Amy Walter. If you want to read Charlie Cook separately, he's got his own Substack now.
Do you have to pay both of them to hear now?
Charlie's is sometimes free. Amy's is often free. But, yeah, if you want to read them regularly, you got to pay them both.
But they don't work together anymore. They do.
An Iran war off-ramp won't solve the root of the GOP's 2026 problem, Amy writes.
All right.
Republicans can't control Trump. I'll give you the meat of it. Nor can they convince voters that the economy is going well.
No.
Just the stuff we were just talking about.
Right.
They long ago lost the fight on defining their signature legislative accomplishment, the one big beautiful bill. Instead, GOP candidates are going to have to convince voters that their Democratic opponent is a bigger risk than a rubber stamp for the president. That means scorched earth campaigns from GOP candidates and their allies who will have to depict all Democrats as extremists aligned with Zoran Mamdani.
They can do it.
They can try.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'll work well. They will be doing it, like with Tallarico. They just decided he's trans. Boom.
Yeah,
that's
right. And so
I'm gonna say it.
I get the Graham Plattner controversy, but
that happened.
In the end, what difference does it make? They were going to do this to anybody.
Yes, that is true, too, and it wouldn't really matter. Suppose Graham Plattner did not have a Nazi tattoo. Not that he had it removed.
They would have AI'd one on. I mean, it doesn't really
he's
matter.
A Nazi. Yeah, right.
Does truth matter? Yeah, we're Democrats. But on the other hand, let me just follow up with this. Amy Walter writes, this is not a foolproof option for GOP success. As we've seen in previous midterm cycles, and I'll get back to that, trying to make the election a referendum on the opposition party rarely works. In 2018, for example, the Republican Party's attempts to link Democratic House candidates with San Francisco liberal Nancy Pelosi flopped. Democrats did very well in that election. It's not that voters suddenly decided they were ideologically aligned with Pelosi. It's that voters vote on the here and now, not what may happen in the future. Or, as she might have written, but because she's a professional, she didn't, not on a lot of bullshit. And for the reason that that comes up, I just want to add something near and dear to your heart.
Oh.
In the great Commonwealth of Virginia.
Right. It
wasn't 2018.
No.
It was 2017, because you're weird. that Ed Gillespie was running against Ralph Northam.
That's actually near and dear to your heart. I mean, me too, but that's like your favorite Virginia story ever.
It is. Ed Gillespie's use of San Francisco values emerged as a prominent rhetorical attack during the 2017 Virginia gubernatorial election. Can you remind us of who won?
It was not him.
It was not him. Yeah. His campaign deployed TV ads and mailers to link his Democratic opponent, Ralph Northam, to Nancy Pelosi and the perceived ultra-liberal politics of San Francisco, which is to say San Francisco values. It just failed miserably. Yes. It failed in 2017, and so taking that to heart, they went and doubled down on it in 2018, and it failed again.
Yeah. Caravans.
Right.
That was your favorite part.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Now, it's true, Amy Walter points out, Democrats are less popular today than they were back in 2018. But a lot of that comes from Democrats.
Oh, well, some of them are different Democrats.
Right. I have a really good friend who happens to be an Israeli who moved to New York City, and we argue about this all the time. And he's just sick and tired of Gaza being the issue in his community.
Yeah, well,
that turns people against each other. And my response to that is, you got to come up with an answer.
Yeah.
Because it does matter. And even though, you may not think it's a genocide and other people may, fine, whatever, you still have to have some sort of solution. And a lot of it has to do with diplomacy. And if you get rid of diplomacy, if you say that's not part of the solution, then you're not going anywhere.
Right.
And you'll see candidates that you like even less than the ones you have right now, rising to the top, whether it's El Said in Michigan or some of the Mamdani-supported people on the Democratic side, the Democratic Socialists in New York City who are running, this is something the Democratic Party is going to have to deal with. And you can't just say, well, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to stick with these same old values. Chris Murphy, my senator, has been very out front about the fact that, we can't just return to the Biden years. We can't return to the way it was. That's not how it works. Population has moved on. Other issues are coming up. You need new solutions and new discussion about these things and not just ignoring them.
Okay.
So Amy Walter writes, to be sure, Democrats are less popular today than they were back in 2018. Much of that discontent comes from Democrats themselves, who register record levels of cynicism and distrust. That, in turn, makes Democratic primary contests much more volatile and increases the likelihood of the party nominating candidates who can more easily be painted by Republicans as extreme, I would add. But it doesn't matter because they're going to try to do that with everybody. The nomination of Graham Plattner in the main Senate race, potential success of Abdullah Sayed in Michigan, could put both of those blue-leaning states in a more precarious position. It might. Depends upon how good politicians they are. Graham Plattner happens to be a very talented political athlete. I don't know about El Sayed. Maybe he is. Maybe that's why he's in front. But it's not automatic that, they're going to turn the guns on him and therefore that'll work. San Francisco values and all. Go back and see what actually happens in real life.
Or Zoran Mamdani. He just won and everybody's like, this guy is fantastic and fun and everyone likes him. Well, the fear was what? Oh my God, it's one of those guys. He's going to be, I don't know whether it was anti-Israel or everything else, but instead most people are just like, the cool basketball guy.
The other thing is, unlike, let's say, the George W. Bush years under Karl Rove, the Republican Party is not united. They don't have, this is me speaking, not Amy Walter, they don't have a unified single message that they could do because they keep fighting amongst themselves. Tom Tillis, and as we'll see, the senator from Louisiana, Bill Cassidy, not happy with what's going on with Iran, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea that, they're going to have a single unified voice and concentrate on Democrat, no. The story's about Republican infighting right now.
Yeah. Well,
whereas Hakeem Jeffries is incredibly disciplined.
Yes, that's true. That's helpful. Not everybody is obeying his discipline, but he's
not everybody's enamored of him, but he is incredibly disciplined.
He's making it easy, and for everybody, and playing the role of House leader in that way. I mean, there are going to be people you're never going to be able to bring over to your column, but they appreciate your constancy and can calibrate off of you. They, being the lightning rod is part of the job.
Right.
So
absolutely true.
All right.
So, I like our chances. I don't really think they're changing.
Democrats in 5.
And the other thing is the date.
Yeah.
It's June. Summer
right.
is coming, if it's not already here.
Yes.
And, people aren't focusing on November if you're a normie.
Right. You have to
on the one hand,
start getting shorter.
Your perceptions of what's going on, Trump is a cockwomble, that's fixed. You can't change that over 4 or 5 months.
Right.
But in terms of focusing on the election, in terms of telling pollsters what you're going to vote for, who you're going to vote for, that's not fixed yet because they haven't really decided. There's too many undecideds. You can't really tell. Come September, as the old tradition goes, after Labor Day, then you can start paying attention to where the polls are at. So, oh my gosh, the Democrats lost 1/4 of a point, so what? It doesn't matter. The general consensus is Trump's a screw-up, and he's not especially popular, and if he gains a point, it's still true. And there's still plenty of time for him to go even lower than he is right now.
That's right. So it's plenty of time for you to go out and wear white pants and not worry about it. And then when it comes time to put them away, we'll ask you again.
After the break.
Yes.
We'll talk a little bit about Iran and the Republican response to it and give you an idea of what and how and why they're divided.
All right.
And I'm not sure who we'll do first, but we'll do something. We're going to have a couple of Roger Marshall videos because, he's a great example of, what?
I guess so, yeah. How do elected Republicans, rank and file elected Republicans, and a higher up one, react to the fact that there's no way to read the president and figure out what team you're supposed to be on and feel like you're not taking crazy pills? So,
Thun's answer is a good question. I don't really know what's going on.
I haven't seen the treaty being tweeted. Sorry.
Speaker Mike Johnson's response is total control. We're totally under control.
Hi, Kagro in the Morning listeners. This is Rebecca Romans, longtime listener and longtime supporter of the show. Do you love your non-corporatized, completely independent, commercial-free Kagro in the Morning show? Do you stand out among the crowd at the office water cooler when discussing current events because of all the up-to-the-minute news you've been brought by David Waldman? Then it's time to give back a little. David relies on contributions from listeners like you and me to keep this show on the air. Patreon.com is among the easiest ways to make secure recurring monthly donations to support the show. Patreon.com/KagroX will bring you straight to his donation page, where you can sign up for any convenient tier you like. A mere $5 a month. You'll never miss it. Works out to about 25 cents a show. That means that David is making 12.5 cents an hour, which, by coincidence, is exactly what the GOP wants to lower the federal minimum wage to. Once again, David is ahead of the curve. If Patreon.com doesn't sound like your kind of thing, there's always PayPal, or even the Square Cash app. Any way you choose to donate, please choose to donate. And thank you on behalf of David and the rest of us listeners. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Kagro in the Morning Show here on Netroots Radio. It's Thursday. We're speed running through domestic affairs and on to international at the moment, and that means not World Cup, but Iran, who is playing in the World Cup, but as it happens, occupies the world stage otherwise, and we need to sum up. Can we report it all? Can we do the segment from the Iranian perspective? Because that might actually, one, that might encompass Donald Trump's actual position on all of this stuff. And two, trying to explain where Trump is and what he's doing and what people think of it. Well, it may be impossible, but we have a half hour to try.
Well, I don't know.
Where can we start?
I have no. I want to start with this. Let's just set the settings here.
Even if he doesn't.
Trump promised a bunch of stuff, delivered none of it, and then tacoed. And he basically said the only way this war ends is with complete and total surrender.
All right.
And so he completely and totally surrendered.
Well,
now the interesting thing about that is that may have been the best option.
Yes.
But it makes him look terrible And I don't think there's any reason for Democrats to point out that he's a complete jerk that screwed everything up because Republicans are doing it for him. For example, Andrew Desiderio.
Desiderio, yeah.
From Punchbowl News says the State Department told Congress yesterday that Iran's oil exports are a primary revenue source for terrorism financing. Marco Rubio's State Department told Congress that this is what's going on. Just hours after the U.S. and Iran signed the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, that includes oil sanctions relief, and as Trump is downplaying Iran's illicit behavior.
Okay.
Just so you know. The same Trump who wanted to negotiate with the Taliban by bringing him
to Camp David, I think, right? Yeah.
All right. So Trump had a whole bunch of things that he said had to happen. Iran has to lose their missiles. They have to lose their nuclear materials. Right. Everything is important, And then he said, well, we really had no choice. They have to keep their missiles because Saudi Arabia has missiles. What do you expect us to do? What do you want me to do?
Yeah, that's not how it works. It was a tremendous quote, just in terms of my own take on it yesterday was, this is the kind of thing, back in the day when I believed that you could be arrested or get shot for trying to storm the Capitol while Congress was in session, fantasy land. I also believed that if a United States president in the position of ending hostilities with Iran said things like this way, that a medical team would prompt the Secret Service to say there was some kind of an emergency and hustle him away and he would be, medicated and taken home. But no, all day long was incredible, off the script and off the wall, bizarro pronouncements from Trump.
From somebody who did not look at all well.
No. And he
not mentally, not physically.
Death rattle, gravel voices back as well.
He couldn't stand up, all that sort of stuff.
All right. So
all this happens.
Yes.
And we are where we are, and now we have to talk to the Republicans. And just as in the case of the DNI situation, Thune hasn't been briefed. He doesn't know what's going on. It's very difficult to rally around what's going on, but they're doing their best. Here is one example, and I'm going to pick Roger Marshall because he was on CNN. He was sent out to CNN to sort of sell this deal. Now, this was pointed out on the internet, so I'm not so smart as to realize that. But it turns out Roger Marshall, Senator Marshall, sits on agriculture, budget, finance, and health, which is cool. But he doesn't sit on foreign relations. He doesn't sit on armed services. So in other words, he really doesn't know anything.
All right, yeah.
But he's the Republican on CNN telling us what an amazing deal this is. And the fact that somebody like him is out there, says this particular observer, tells you a lot about what you need to know. So let's start with the Caitlin Collins, are you okay with Iran having missiles?
All the way down the call list, I guess, on this one. Nobody else would touch it. All right, Roger, what's up? Let's play. Come on now, play. Oh, more volume.
Put a quarter in. That usually works.
I'm going to turn this up. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to do it this way.
Any luck?
No. Is it playing at all? I don't see any. You know what? Me neither. Hold on. I mean, I hear it, but I see. You know what?
Well, let me just tell you what he says.
I can restart this app, but it's playing in my ears, which is annoying. But go ahead.
So Caitlin Collins says, are you okay with having missiles? And Roger Marshall, Senator Marshall.
There he is. There it is. Never mind. I can rewind him. Yes.
Yeah. So rewind him and play.
For some reason, the soundboard did not want to regard Firefox. But here we are. One more try here.
Senator, are you okay with Iran having missiles?
Is that working?
I'm hesitating. I'd prefer that they not. I certainly don't want them to have long-distance missiles. I don't want them to have nuclear-armed missiles. I would prefer they didn't. But I don't think that's the key issue here. I think that they have to be able to defend themselves. And I just kind of come back to the big picture here, is that the Middle East countries like this agreement.
You think Iran needs to be able to defend itself?
I do. I think that they have to be able to defend themselves. Otherwise, we turn this into a forever war. You're never going to get
It's the opposite.
Short of boots on the ground of surrendering everything, an unconditional agreement, if you will. But again, what I'm getting at here is this agreement has the support of most of the countries in the Middle East, and I think that's going to give it more of a long-lasting relationship, a long-lasting success as well.
Okay.
One notable exception to that agreement, of course, and that would be Israel.
Yes.
But
I mean, but you don't even need them. No. Yes, he is. And no countries in the Middle East think Iran needs missiles, and they're not defensive weapons. They're offensive weapons.
No, I mean, there's a difference between thinking that you have no choice in something. I understand that.
Yeah.
But trying to make it into a positive, we went to war so that Iran could have missiles.
Sure, right.
No, I don't think so.
I did see somebody say, after finding another Republican, and maybe one of the ones who was supposedly found their backbone, saying, Ronald Reagan would roll over in his grave if he da-da-da, and then...
That was Bill Cassidy, and I will get to that.
And the commentary was, that's right, Ronald Reagan would never do something that would end up sending arms to Iran. Wait, let me start over.
Yeah. So here's another Roger Marshall, same interview. It's another video. Hopefully it'll go a little smoother.
I think so now. I have it all plugged
Let's
in.
try it.
More Roger Marshall. Okay.
Events, and we've given them a timeline as well. Again, this is just a memorandum of understanding. There's more work to do.
It's the Treaty of Versailles,
but if they don't get it done in 60 days, they may become glass. So
again, just to put a fine point on it, he just said... I love the way they just offhandedly says they may become glass. I think that's pretty obvious and plain. He says, if we don't get it done in 60 days, nuclear weapons are in play.
We just had a war with them.
Yes.
We lost and were humiliated on the world stage.
That's the real danger.
But if they don't do what we want them to do over the next 60 days, we'll destroy them. Oh,
yes.
Well, why is it different than the last 60 days or 60?
Oh, well, that's nothing.
Plus 60 plus 60. But it'll last 4 months. What's the difference? Well, there isn't any, and he certainly can't explain it.
And of course, again, don't forget, as you pointed out yesterday, it's less meaningful when Senator Roger Marshall says it than when the president says it. But one of the terms
pretty
of the
meaningless when the president
understanding
says it too.
That's
by
true.
the way, I would, that didn't used to be the case, but as we said the other day, the presumption of regularity no longer applies to the White House.
That is certainly
the Republican
true.
Party.
Certainly needs to be said along the way. But yeah, just in terms of, it would be easier to dismiss as a term of the agreement, as you pointed out, there's not supposed to be any threats like this. And I think turning you into glass, which, by the way, the people don't turn into glass. They turn to ashes. It's the sand that turns to glass.
Yeah.
That's supposedly one of the terms of the memorandum of understanding, that there can't be threats being made all the time. And first thing that nobody that they get a hold of to put on CNN does is threaten them with complete nuclear annihilation, offhandedly, like it's a joke for them.
Right.
The only reason I say it's more important or less important if he says it is then over in Iran, they'd be like, well, I'm worried about being nuked. Yes, I'm worried that they say things like that so casually, but who's Roger Marshall? Whereas even when they say, all right, but Trump isn't in control of his faculties and we don't know whether anybody's going to do the things he says he's going to order, but it's still supposedly the president of the United States. If I say inside Iran to a government minister, did you hear what Roger Marshall said? They'd say, not only no, but who cares? With Trump, you'll laugh and say, well, it's only Trump, but go ahead, please play me the Aaron Rupar tape. They know Aaron Rupar in Iran. Yeah. He's the one giving them all the news.
They know him better than Roger Marshall.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess there's more to it. We've only played 15 seconds, and it's already outrageous. But let's see what else he has to say.
I think that's the alternative here. At the end of the day, the goal is for American safety.
Well, see, so the whole point here is they have nothing.
I guess, yeah.
And they're trying to make something out of nothing, and they can't. Certainly somebody as unskilled as Marshall can't do it, but nobody can do it.
And even Kaylin Collins.
And to give you an example of that, I'm going to turn to some conservatives I normally don't pay attention to, but sometimes it's just good an idea it's a good idea to know what's circulating out there. This is from Fox News, this next one. It's Ben Shapiro.
All right.
And let's just say he's not in support. And we'll talk about the fact that 3 days from now he'll say, no, it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's not really the point. The point right now is that there is saturation coverage of this being a disaster. And let's go with Ben Shapiro as an example.
That said, this MOU appears to be, just from the text, a disaster that does not achieve any of the actual signal goals that were set by the administration at the beginning.
By the way, not a Muppet. That is actually Ben Shapiro.
There are effectively 5 goals that were set by the administration at the beginning. One was ending the nuclear program, not just nuclear weapons, no nuclear enrichment, zero enrichment. That is not in the deal.
I do remember
ballistic missiles ended. That is not in the deal, and the president today suggested that ballistic missiles should actually continue to be held by the Iranians because the Saudis, our allies, also hold ballistic missiles. Then you have the support of terrorism. That is not part of the deal. Anything that looks like an attempt to end terrorism. A permanent opening of the Strait of Hormuz toll-free. Not only is that not in the deal appears to have a provision allowing Iran and Oman to attempt to toll the strait after 60 days. And then finally, the idea that Iran would receive some sort of sanctions relief after all of those things happen. We are already seeing from day one relief in their ability to ship oil out of Iran. In my opinion, the Vice President of the United States, the chief negotiator on this particular project, has not well served the president.
Okay, and we can stop there.
All right.
That last line is so key.
Yes. That's how he survives this interview. Otherwise, he'd be chopped up into pieces.
Yeah. The President of the United States has no agency. He is only poorly served by people who tell him this stuff, and they are the ones that really need to have heads roll because they didn't serve the president well. And Marco Rubio is there nodding his head and saying, yeah, we're talking about Vance here.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody seems to be setting Vance up for this. The thing is, I don't know how many people are buying it, but you know, we're
buying what?
The idea that Vance really has anything to do with it.
Oh, well, they hate him anyway, so it's easy.
I guess that's it.
But
right.
the more important thing
that is not true,
that they are not buying what Trump is selling in terms of this being a good deal.
Yes.
And of course, their fallback position is, since the great leader, the dear leader, can never be wrong, it must be his advisors who are leading him down the wrong path.
It's his family.
And of course, you know, actual analysts who look at this say, this is so stupid, it's not even worth taking seriously. Trump's problem isn't that he listens to people, it's that he doesn't listen to people.
Yeah.
Start there. So the idea that somehow or other Vance led him, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, Vance can't lead him.
Vance, nobody can lead him. This is all his doing.
That's true. And Vance can't lead anybody.
Well, yeah, true. That's another story.
Right.
But he certainly can't lead him.
Neither one of those things is likely to work. But that's it. You know, that is an old play, an old standard. It's not the leader.
It's going to work as well as San Francisco Values.
Yeah.
It's an old standard. It's an old play. It's not going to work.
No. I guess not. And it's bizarre to watch. And then Trump himself was a total mess, and I don't know. I've stopped blaming the advisors. I blame the kids still. So this is elder abuse. You can't just keep stealing crypto money by propping him up. Everybody is saying, I don't think he's all there. I don't know if he ever was, but it's worse now than it ever was before. He just said, sure, Iran missiles, that's fine. Something's wrong with this man.
Now, next is Senator Bill Cassidy. We foreshadowed this a little bit.
Okay.
But Cassidy is the one that said Reagan is rolling over in his grave. Iran's nuclear ambitions were not curbed. They have learned the threatening Strait of Hormuz works. They will undoubtedly leverage it in future. Iran gets to build brand new infrastructure under the deal.
We pay
for it, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mexico.
Before the war, the strait was open. Iran was being crushed by sanctions, and 13 service members were still alive. Now they're dead. Families have paid billions at the pump. Sanctions will be lifted, and the bombing has stopped. This is the worst foreign policy blunder in decades, he says. And the interesting thing is, the thing that bothers Trump the most is none of this. It's that people are starting to compare it to the Obama JCPOA, with the Obama deal looking better. And he hates that. It's driving him nuts.
Oh, yeah. He's convinced that everybody believes
I sent you one example,
disaster.
but, there's many.
Yes. That's everywhere. I mean, that's been his goal since forever. I mean, right when he tore it up the first place. This actually reminds me also very interestingly of the health care as an issue, just in terms of well, repeal and replace was the mantra, so they just tried their best to repeal it, but they never had a plan for replacing it. I hate the Obama plan, but I don't have anything to replace it with. And then I guess everybody just figured, well, he's so hawkish, it will be total capitulation by Iran. Nobody understood when he said total capitulation, he meant ours. Right. Because why would you presume that? That's not what the president usually says.
This next one is conservative Will Chamberlain.
Oh.
Not Wilt Chamberlain, the basketball player.
Yes, right. I've
not
made that
Will Chamberlain,
before.
the actor. Dr.
Yes.
Kildare. We have the text. He says, the deal is absolutely terrible. There's no getting around it. And he had said, stick with the plan. I trust the plan. Let's wait for the text. You're overreacting. We have the text. He now writes, the deal is absolutely terrible. There's no getting around it. The text give Iranians huge immediate financial benefits and protection for Hezbollah in exchange for opening the strait. Nothing else. Trump should renege.
Well,
and Jonathan Adler, conservative lawyer type, says, didn't you tell us 2 months ago everything was great?
Yeah, I'm sure. But he's reneging.
Yes.
So he's trying to show Trump the way. And, I mean, I will say this. Our foremost expert in reneging is in the presidency right now.
Trey Gowdy. Remember Trey Gowdy?
Yes.
He was on Fox News. I read this MOU about 48 hours ago, and I didn't believe it. I thought somebody was spoofing me when I saw it.
Yeah, that's okay.
His hair is still the same, by the way.
Yeah, I thought he was spoofing me with his hair, but
right. Even Eric Erickson, who finds ways to screw everything up, and find, nonetheless, I'll still vote for him because Democrats are evil. This is the VP, Eric Erickson wrote a few days ago, arguing that all the talk about the deal was IRGC propaganda. Now, what he called IRGC propaganda the other day actually is the deal is unveiled by the White House. And James Surowiecki saw that and said, look, they know they're lying. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying. We know that they know that we know they're lying. And they still keep lying.
Yeah. I mean, that is pretty amazing, too. This is Vance's fault. Vance says, no, it's just propaganda. And then, well, why are you signing their propaganda?
Right.
I don't know.
For the next few minutes, we don't have time to do each and every one of these articles, but I want to give you an idea of the titles. Just, again, this saturation failure thing.
Yeah.
It just penetrates because you don't have to read the New Yorker, you don't have to read the Atlantic, but it's everywhere. It's Fox News, it's sports radio, you hear it.
Good.
You're going to talk about it.
This is how it works. It's going to
be failure. The spectacular failure and ruinous cost of the Iran war in the New Yorker by Ishan Tharor.
You said it wasn't New Yorker.
Even though an agreement has been reached, nations around the world will be feeling the effects of the war for some time, and that's really the point.
Yes, that's
Gas
true.
Doesn't snap back right away. Jonathan Lemire in the Atlantic. Trump in defeat. The president went to war triumphant and will likely leave greatly weakened. Jonathan Chait in the Atlantic. All the sad hawks, neoconservatives are struggling to reconcile their hopes for Trump with the failure of his Iran war. We just read you some of them. Peter Winter. The apotheosis of Donald Trump on the president's 80th birthday became clear. He has entered his decline.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. It was Trump's version of the Roman imperial games, state-sponsored brutality as public entertainment staged to please the emperor. He clearly relished every second of it, but the MAGA movement and the 80-year-old man who leads it is breaking apart.
Yes, good, all right.
The UFC event captured an essential truth of Trump's second term. He believes he made a mistake the first time around by hiring too many subordinates who didn't allow Trump to be Trump. He wanted full fealty. Trump has always been a man of epic indiscipline. But in Trump 2.0, there's no breaks. It would be all improv. So bad.
Improv. Oh, I threw that out the other day. Yeah, improv presidency. He stole that from me.
Yeah, but, it's the whole thing about if it's not working, just throw chaos up there because what the hell.
Yeah, right. So nothing new here. This is but a good reminder. You've been telling us that was the case since forever. Chaos has always been the watchword.
And then...
one thing still is true.
Yeah, all the sad hawks and neoconservatives are struggling to reconcile their hopes. That's just, the way it is. And then the corollary of that is Iran war's biggest loser, definitely Netanyahu. That's in Washington Monthly. Atlantic again. Netanyahu finally learns the truth about Trump. An alliance with the president was the Israeli prime minister's selling point. Now it may be his downfall.
Yeah.
Israel's not happy with how things have turned out.
Well, you know about how things go for things that Trump touches.
Yep.
So I guess that's happening.
And that's why this Bulwark piece, Make America Green Algae-ish, comes up, everything he touches. What's the big deal about that stupid reflecting pool? Well, he made it a big deal.
Right. Yeah, otherwise who
cares?
So
therefore it's a big deal.
I've never seen so much algae coverage in my life. No, I don't just mean physically.
But he made it a focus of his incompetence, so that's why we are where we are.
Right. Ordinarily, no one would care.
Right.
All right. Well, that's good. Now, here's my big hope, by the way. It occurred to me while we're reading all the headlines about failure. He lost the war. It's approaching time to break ground for the triumphal arch. And I'm wondering whether, in the face of all this opposition to many of his other programs, the loss in court about the Kennedy Center, the revolt among Republicans in Congress and not bringing forward a reconciliation bill, and they're not passing this that he wants and that he wants, and he's not going to pass them any easier if they're glued together. Will there now be, will there be breaks from Congress or elsewhere applied and say, wait a second, not only is this arch just not authorized, but what triumph are you talking about? It's not kidnapping Maduro, is it? Because that doesn't get an arch. Like, you've just lost a war. You're not building a triumphal arch for a war you lost. We can't have that happening. I don't know whether anybody is actually going to translate that into action in any way, but I'm hopeful that it maybe saves us from having to see that thing built.
Right.
I mean, it was always a lie in the first place. It's not like he had a triumph in the works or one in the pocket to build it with, and everybody knew that. But what we didn't have was every newspaper in the country saying, we lost the war. And that wasn't supposed to be related to the war necessarily, the arch. But you can't lose a war and build a triumphal arch. You just can't. Right?
Right.
I think.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Well, anyway. Pour a little hydrogen peroxide in it and everything will be fine. I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I got for today.
All right, that will do it. We'll take a congressional weekend on it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to follow you off the air. I'm going to take another hour to wind things down. But Friday, we're on the road, and I struggled with the idea of trying to record something, but the World Cup is on, and I wanted to watch that. So I think we might be stuck with a rerun. We should try and find a rerun where Trump is against Iran somewhere and see if we can play that, because everybody will be so amazed and confused by it. But just to remind you what it was like a year ago, Trump opposed
for all of our listeners who by now are sick and tired of video games and the Knicks,
yes.
Which is the only stuff I ever talk about.
Yes,
you can play 2 hours of play-by-play of the parade tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's true. Maybe Justice wants to run that. We can record it and play it. But all right, well, if I play a rerun from a year ago, isn't it about a year ago was the first of the opening strikes against Iran? It was June of last year, wasn't it?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't keep track of that stuff because, what difference does it make?
Who cares?
As
Right.
we used to say.
Right. Goldfish. Memory. Why bother remembering?
Why
things?
bother? Because he's going to change his mind in the next 15 minutes anyway.
Right. Remember last
anyway,
year?
That's the story. I'm going to get off the air.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to figure out if I can reset all my stuff here so I can get rid of this San Francisco bridge I have in the background as David sees it, but the rest of you don't because it's all audio.
Yeah. Did you do that?
I know how to put it on, but I don't know how to get it off.
All right. Well, put something else on.
I could do that. Yeah.
You know what you need to do? Take a picture of your room that you're in and save that and just say, all right, if I can't figure out how to just get back to no filter, I should at least have a background that looks like my house.
I could take a picture of the new New York City orange and blue trash bins.
Oh, yes.
That the Department of Sanitation offered in honor of the Knicks. They rolled them out. And it's really interesting. Every New Yorker who saw that said, oh, great, they're going to be stolen in like 10 minutes. I think I want one. Bye, I'll be back.
Yeah, wow. I think they're probably gone. So great souvenir, although try to get them before they're used if you're going to bring it into your house.
It'd be better,
Yeah. But, maybe with only light usage, you can at least hose the thing off.
A pro tip from a native New Yorker, get them before somebody throws a slice of pizza in there because you don't know what else comes with it.
Yeah, honestly, use trash can. As exciting as the Knicks victory was, I think, maybe offer brand new for sale online as a revenue raiser for the city. How about that?
Right.
Okay. Very good. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. I don't know where you got all this information about us being okay with Iran having nuclear material and missiles, but it was pretty funny. Thanks, I guess, to The Onion for all the coverage. And we'll see you on Monday when we'll become pro-Soviet empire by then.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Hard to fathom, but thank you.
All right. Take care.
You do the same. All right. We'll take it from here. And there's not very far that we can take it in a minute or 2 minutes, I guess, before the alarm goes off to play the music. The birds are singing outside. They're enjoying it. Bill Pulte, I guess, we're stuck with for a little while. It occurred to me when Greg was saying that now Trump's fallback position. And by the way, all positions in which he's digging in his heels, which was normally something that he could do and get away with at least, well, a little more than 50% of the time, I guess you have to imagine is in danger, especially something that's directly national security related. So like for the president to dig in his heels and say, like it or not, you're getting Bill Pulte as director of national intelligence, at least on an acting basis, for a while. Well, two things about this. One, ordinarily that might be something he can get away with, and it may be that they can't find a way to force him out of the job. But for Congress to say, yeah, we should absolutely, you just said, sure, it's fine if the Iranians have missiles. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? They can have them, and it's not fair for them not to have them. And who cares about the nuclear material? And we might not go and get it. And it's there was another comment. I should look around for these clips during the break, except it's only a 1 minute break. But clips of him also saying it's only common sense for them to have nuclear material. Maybe they need it for like making electricity, like nuclear power plants. Yeah, that's what they told you the whole time. And you said they're lying. And now, of course, you've come around to the position that is either you've come around to the position that might actually be true, or you're just surrendering again on another thing. I can't convince anybody that it's bad for them to have nuclear materials. And remember, the whole negotiation was zero. We're going to go for zero, and everybody thought that was a ridiculous position to take. So instead, not only zero, how much do you want them to reduce it by then? Zero. I'm being consistent across the board. 0, 0, 0. I don't know. It seems to me that for everybody to be in revolt against what he's doing and second guessing him and thinking he's finally lost his marbles, etc., for him to also say, you need to listen to my recommendation and you need to accede to my demand on the question of who will be directing national security intelligence in this country. I don't know. What's the weaker claim? I can and should build a triumphal arch, or I can and should be trusted to put a known bad actor into the job of the Director of National Intelligence. I think they're both pretty shaky. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back now to the Kagro in the Morning Show here on Netroots Radio. We got another hour to go and lots to cover. Let's see. Just wanting to scroll through Blue Sky to see if I can find the rest of this information here. I don't know if I can find it all that quickly, but there were incredible clips yesterday. But then, of course, not only do I have to find them, I have to transfer them to the big computer. Oh, here's one of them, although that was probably the less impactful of the bunch, and I mean, it's not saying much. I don't think we even got to it. Greg and I discussed it ahead of time, ahead of the show, and I don't think we ever returned to the fact that I guess Emmanuel Macron has, I don't know what, pulled a Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote kind of a thing here, and gotten Trump to step onto a big red X and stand under a piano suspended by a thread. We did mention that he was thrilled to have been invited to Versailles for dinner because it was very, very golden. And that was what impressed him most. There's a lot of gold, and it's not gold leaf, it's the real deal. So I said, yes, I'd very much like to go. He invited him to dinner, And I guess that's one of the perks of the job, being president of France. You can do things like, I'd like to have dinner at Versailles tonight. Ordinarily, they'd probably say, hey, this is a kind of abuse of your authority if you're just going to be, you can't just move into Versailles. But he didn't do that. But everyone kind of understood right away that it was an option for manipulating Trump, right? So he brings him to dinner. Oh, and by the way, there's this video of him taking a tour and, marveling at the ostentatious over decoration, etc. But they take him. There's a lot of stairs in Versailles, and there's this video of them going up a couple of sets of stairs, and there's looks on Trump's face before he's being asked to ascend the staircase that are priceless. But there's a moment here where some of the ceremonial guards posted around in I don't know, fantastic French uniforms with golden helmets and with red plumage at the top, and it's really old timey and looking, and they've got swords which they're holding at an attention stance as the presidents walk by, and there's one like right behind Trump, just with a giant saber raised, and the temptation. Although I think a lot of people thought the temptation would be to push him down the stairs instead, but Macron was better positioned for that, and he didn't do it. But anyway, so he takes him around this tour of Versailles, which we all understood, was all about flattering Trump, and that he was really going to like that, and that he might be able to manipulate him into something else. I don't know what substantively I think Macron was hoping to get out of that. I think it was really just a play for, I'm going to do this, and he's going to think of me as the guy who did him the favor of taking him on a tour of Versailles. And, but anyway, but the trick was, so Trump had also said, remember, that the MOU was ready, and though there's no final deal yet, this is, even Trump would concede this is a deal to sit down and make more deals, but we're going to sign it. Because he loves signing things. He has signing time on his schedule. That's literally a thing. I check the schedule usually every Thursday or Friday, Thursday night, going into Friday usually, to tell people what to expect for the weekend. And every time I see it, I'm amazed. Not only do they block out most of all of his day is the president participates in executive time, which we all know is watching television and yelling. But there's also another thing. President participates in, they now call it signing time. They bring him things to sign, and, they just generate things that purport to be executive orders or various proclamations, so that when he's signing things, he thinks he's doing official type work and making things so by signing a document that says it's going to be so. So he loves signing. Anyway, he was going to sign the agreement with Iran, but remember that it was going to be, A, it was going to happen on Friday, and that's not yet, that's tomorrow, and B, we're not going to go to Switzerland and do it for whatever reason. Switzerland, I guess their traditional neutrality was where they were going to do it. They're not going to go to Pakistan and do it. They're not going to go anywhere to do it. They were going to do it like remotely. By the way, I thought we were back into return to office. The remote work era is over, but they were going to sign remotely. And he was also like, I might not even sign it. I might send Vance to sign it. I don't know what that's about. But whatever is part of the plan to blame it all on him. But there was going to be a Friday thing. It was going to be remote, etc. But instead, while he's at dinner at Versailles, I think Macron said, he may even have, he may have worried. I don't know how much Trump remembers about the Treaty of Versailles. But anyway, everyone else saw the optics of he talks Trump into signing the thing early and to do it at Versailles. And it's almost as if it really was the setup for a joke. Can you guys believe this? Watch this. I bet I could get him to sign the treaty. And it's not a treaty, really. But Congress will insist that they have a role in it, too, and lean on the treaty clauses to do it. But I'm going to get him to sign it at Versailles, and it'll be so funny. I bet he won't understand why it's bad to associate your treaty or your peace agreements with Versailles. I bet he won't. And I bet instead he'll be so overawed by the gold of it that this looks like the kind of a place where you would sign an important document. You've convinced me. I'm going to do it. I was invited for dinner, but then you said to me, look at all the gold around here. Shouldn't you, without talking to any of your advisors, change your mind on the logistics of the execution of an extremely important agreement, as if it was one, right? But on, off the cuff. I mean, I know it's a lot to ask, but look at all this gold. And that actually worked, which is amazing. I mean, this thing was supposed to be signed Friday. I don't know where, I don't know under what methodology, I don't know why it was supposed to be, but I don't know why they had that plan, but you had to have, I wonder what it was like inside the, State Department or whoever the hell was handling this thing. And nobody even knows. I don't know what department arranged for this thing. Was it the War Department? Was it the State Department? But to call them and say, that thing I said I was going to do on Friday, and we set the whole thing up, and it was all going to be a remote thing, and we were going to have cameras and all sorts of official stuff. I want to do it now instead, Wednesday. And I want to do it in France, and I want to do it in Versailles, and we haven't talked about any of it. But I want to do it. Bring me the paper. I'm going to sign it. But, sir, we have this. Okay, shut up. Bring me the paper. Just do it. Why don't you just bring me the paper? It doesn't make the deal any worse by itself. But, one, I mean, why are you opening yourself up to jokes about the Treaty of Versailles? And two, why are you disrupting, to the extent there are any carefully made plans in the Trump administration, to disrupt them, one, because you don't understand the significance of Versailles, other than it's golden, and two, a foreign president says, you know what, instead of effing this up on Friday, you should eff it up worse and now. Yeah, I should. And then it happens. Please, Trump kids, I would beg you, except what I really think is I don't really want you to do anything different. I think we should just arrest you now for elder abuse. This can't go on. The things he's saying. So you got the gist of what it was that Trump was saying about the missiles, but there is something about hearing it in his voice that I think is valuable. Let's see. And I'll send it to the big computer. I wasn't certain I was going to do this. Otherwise, I would have set this up ahead of time. But no, I refused to do it. But now that Firefox is working again, I think it'll be okay. It'll just take me a second to get this thing out of email and up on the screen. Well, it'll take about 10 minutes for it to realize I've emailed myself, too. This happened yesterday. It was quite annoying. There we are. With the gravelly voice, the death rattle. And then what I found really amazing about this is that he resorts to his rally delivery, like where everything is informal and he's just talking to his friends. And he does an imitation of a dialogue between himself and an imaginary or perhaps real character from among his advisors, and he puts on voices, to differentiate the voices in his head from the voices he thinks he's hearing from other people, and does the dialogue, and it's super weird. Now, also, he's on stage. He's framed by Marco Rubio, who is on his left, and on his right is, I love everybody's nickname, Howard Nutlick. There's, of course, Howard Lutnick, but the two of them are standing at his shoulders while he is giving this off the cuff remarks to the press. And a side note, Marco Rubio and Howard Nutlick are both listed online, and I don't trust the answer, but both listed online as being about 5'9" in height. Which I did get a note, and I have to acknowledge it. Somebody was saying, the other day you made a joke at Marco Rubio's expense about his height, and really you shouldn't be doing that, and you could be critiquing his politics without doing that. And that's all true. And 5'9" isn't even that small. It's not like he's, 5'4". But yes, I acknowledge that point. That part is true. Oh, and also, by the way, one of the other points that was made was I think I accidentally mentioned Aaron Parnas, who I brought up again today, because I blanked on Aaron Rupar's name and I said Aaron Parnas, but we may have had an Aaron Parnas entry to discuss as well. I think we did. And I said, oh yeah, everybody, you remember Aaron Parnas? That's Len Parnas' son. And there was this note, I won't name names at the moment, but mostly because I can't remember now who sent it to me. But I understood the point to be, hey, Aaron Parnas is a person in his own right. Don't describe him merely as Len Parnas' son. But he is Len Parnas' son. Now, all I was really, and I wasn't trying to diminish his work, although I'm not a huge fan of his work, but he's got a lot of fans. And so listen, he's made a name for himself in his own right. Don't describe him that way. I was just saying, hey, if you don't remember who he is, because I barely do, he's Lev Parnas' son. And it's true, and Lev Parnas has a checkered past, and I guess Aaron doesn't necessarily. He's a young man. He's got his own past. I understand all that. But he is Lev Parnas' son. That's all I was saying. Anyway, here are these two guys who are 5'9" flanking Donald Trump, and they appear to be the same height. Now, there may have been a little riser, maybe someone suggested, behind them, but I don't understand why that would even have happened. Like, why would the lectern, not podium, but lectern, the podium would be where they're standing, as I understand it. The lectern with the seal of the President of the United States at the G7 conference, why would that be lower than where the people flanking you are standing if they're standing just behind you? Like, why would the logistics people want that? You would want the opposite and make the president the tall guy. But maybe the European convention is the opposite, but American advanced people would have wanted it the other way. So I'm just saying, I don't know what's going on here, but that's exciting news. He's 5'9" now. That is considerably shorter than the 6'3" he claims to be. Now, the actual substance of his ballistic missiles commentary, just so you hear it.
So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about.
All right, now pause here for just a second. First of all, you hear the heavy breathing. There's that. The gravelly voice. This, he's reading entirely from a script. His eyes are down, and he barely knows what he's saying. It's also interesting to watch Nutlick here and Rubio try and keep a straight face in all of this. They can't hardly effing believe what they're hearing, because now he's beginning to wander off the script. And how do you know when he's wandering off the script? His eyes come up. He's not reading. That's literally the only giveaway you need.
And support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. So,
right? This is ballistic missiles he's talking about, right? For a minute, he's scripted.
Non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said you shouldn't give them one. I mean, I have guys. I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart.
Two guys
Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Doesn't work that way, you know. It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet.
It actually depends on what's on board the missile. And the problem is, if you can put the two of them, if you have both, you can put them together. How do you like that? Missiles, they're not the problem. They hurt a little bit. They hurt a little location. But they don't blow up the planet. That's my job. How do I like that dialogue? Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. Any missile. So what should I do? I should let Saudi Arabia, our alleged ally, I should let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but not them. Yeah, yes. It doesn't work that way. Besides, who cares about missiles? They only blow up a little location. So, I mean, Yesterday's clip, or maybe the day before, was we're not even interested in that nuclear material. It's not even very valuable. We might not want to even go get it. We might not want to do anything. All right, well, what about the ballistic missiles? I might also not want to do anything about that. And even if I wanted to, I couldn't, because it's not fair. You got to let them have it. What am I going to do? Say you can't have missiles? Yeah, you could. That's a thought. Very interesting idea. Maybe you want to give that some further consideration. There's a number of other crazy things that he said, including something he said about in the middle of Mexico co-hosting the World Cup, of course. He has, if anybody were paying attention to things that he said and taking them seriously, there would be a real problem in Mexico right now, where he said, "Oh, the whole place is run by drug cartels. It's not safe. There's no government in Mexico." There's now, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of tourists in Mexico from overseas who are there for the World Cup, who, if they believed the president or paid any attention to what he was saying, would be fleeing Mexico right now, and Mexico would be furious about that. Instead, they just get to be furious about the insult to their country. I think I have this coming up here. We'll be able to play that clip in just a second, just for fun, just so you know what he's saying about our neighbor to the south. He's never been kind to Mexico, obviously.
But drugs are down by water.
Okay, by the way, I seek to do whatever I can to make sure that kind of noise never comes across the microphone, but, what can you do? He's 80. So now he's talking about drugs coming from Mexico.
But drugs are down by water, 97%.
I guess he means smuggling via, the open sea. Drugs are down by water.
And over 60% they're down, and now we're going to go and focus on the land. They come through Mexico. Mexico has lost control of their country. The cartels run Mexico, and it's sad. And the president's a very good woman, but she's a very scared woman. The drug cartels are totally running Mexico. It's not even close. We agreed to accelerate our...
All right, so now everybody's fleeing Mexico, giving up their tickets and running away. They're not, thankfully. I mean, nobody believes Donald Trump about that or anything else. It's just I wanted to give you a flavor of how he's treating our closest allies and trade partners, obviously, since he said he early on in his political career declared all Mexicans to be rapists, just as he now believes all Somalis are fraudsters and garbage. So it's nothing new in that sense. He's later asked about whether or not, let's see, the New York Times, I guess, posed the question, can you now say whether you will hold anyone in your administration accountable for the strike on a school that killed more than 100 children? And, of course, Trump's answer, no. It's such a strange question to be asked. It's a long time ago. I mean, what are you saying? Mistakes are made. I would ask Pete Hegseth that question. That's interesting. We'll see whether Pete Hegseth gets that one hung around his neck or not, or whether Trump escapes culpability for it. There's a number of things. I forgot about the one at which he is at the airport afterwards and is asked about, how the negotiations are going, or how the press conference went. Basically, the question is, you just gave a press conference in which everybody said you were totally insane and that you didn't know a goddamn thing about what you were talking about, and you were contradicting everything the United States went to war for. How do you feel about how that one went? And here it is. All right, let's see. I got to send it to myself. So he's giving himself the review, or giving the papers, I guess, the press asking the question, here's what I think about how the press conference went. And I guess he's got Steve Witkoff with him, I suppose, who was not on stage, by the way, in discussing this stuff. For whatever reason, it was Rubio. I mean, that makes some sense. Secretary of State. Nutlick doesn't make any sense at all. But maybe they wanted a matching bookend set of 5 nines to to make it look like it was normal out there. I don't know how that would help you. But so here he is. He's at the airport, and they ask him, how do you think the press conference went? Because the world saw it and thought you were insane.
The press conference seems to have gone well. You shot your load pretty much, Steve, right? Pretty much. But
wow.
Well. Seems like the agreement's very well under tow.
Very well under tow. What is he saying? I don't think we even know what he's supposed to be. Understood, but just, by the way, the big insult to the dignity of the office of the presidency, tan suits. Do you catch what he says about, you did pretty good. We said everything you wanted to say, right, Steve? That's the clean way of saying it. Oh, wow. I don't know whether I can take playing it again, but there you go. That's the dirty old locker room talking man who, grabs women, etc., etc. So I guess just in case you thought that disappeared, or maybe his age turned him feeble and harmless. The answer to that is no. That is not what's happening. Okay. I just wanted to bring you up to date on what the clips were saying about the guy. What else have I got for you here? Maybe I'll update you on this one. It might be talk of the weekend. It's hard to imagine there being more Epstein news, but there is. And I don't know what the logistics of how this news comes out now actually are. But Edith Olmsted at the New Republic wrote this up. The headline is this: Woman told FBI Trump tried to recruit her from his tower, that being Trump Tower, of course. She said she was also given an invitation to a party at Jeffrey Epstein's residence. Now, this was the interview in which she says this, tells the FBI this happened quite some time ago, in 2020, I believe. Although, the article outlines the timeline of it. I don't know, it's not revelatory and it's not necessarily a bombshell per se, but it is interesting that, once again, in the FBI's hands are reports from, eyewitness reports from women that Trump and his organization were certainly playing the same game as not exactly the same game, but playing the same game of trying to recruit, that Trump could be like, I like the look of that one, and send henchmen to go round the girls up, is the gist of this. A woman claimed she was approached by two, quote, recruiters who were scouting young women at Donald Trump's Manhattan skyscraper to have sex with him. Now, that's a claim. And also tried to lure her to a party at the home of Jeffrey Epstein, who would almost certainly try to have sex with her. Buried in the Department of Justice's massive trove of files on Epstein, an interview conducted by the FBI on June 19th, 2020, included allegations that the president had previously used Trump Tower as a hunting ground for young women, Raw Story reported on Wednesday. That's interesting. We usually hear it the other way around. We're usually reading a Raw Story article that says somebody else reported it. This time it's TNR reporting that Raw Story did it. Congratulations to that, and thank you for crediting them on that one. In the early 1990s, the woman worked at a luxury shoe store near Trump Tower and would study in the building's public atrium during her lunch breaks. Trump, of course, says that she's asking for it, right? One day, she met a colleague at the atrium who pointed out two men lurking nearby. She described one of the men as dark-haired and looked like Antonio Banderas, and I'm sure it probably wasn't him, but you never know, while the other man was blonde and looked like the surfer type, the FBI report stated. Her colleague told her that the men constantly picked up and then redacted. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what redacted means, but picked up redacted women. I don't know what. I mean, I wonder whether that's picked up Trump's women or women for Trump is the idea here, and that he got redacted from that. Why you would bother redacting Trump's name from it? It's happening in Trump Tower, and they try to say, well, you'll see. There's no point in hiding it. I don't know. I'm not certain what would be redacted there. The woman was then approached by the dark-haired man who struck up a conversation with her. He asked if she knew who Donald Trump was and told her he was meeting people that day, the report stated, which, for normal people, you'd be like, he's meeting people? What do you mean? He's having a meeting? What do I care? No, you're supposed to be amazed at the opportunity to meet Donald Trump. You're in Trump Tower. He's a very famous rich guy. You want to meet him? He's meeting people. Who cares? She told the man that she knew who Trump was. The man asked if she wanted to meet Trump and told her that she did not need to work so hard to go to school. She's studying, right? The report said the man winked and said he could do whatever she liked. And I don't know whether that's I'll do whatever you ask me to do, about meeting Trump, or Trump could make it so easy for you. You don't have to work hard and or go to school. You don't have to work hard at school. You don't even have to go to school. Trump can just hand you a bunch of money for, reasons. Well, she felt that it was clear, and she's right, that sex was on the table, even though the man never mentioned sex. They're very smooth operators, these guys. The report said she felt these men were playing the role of recruiters for Trump. The man told her that if she did not want to meet Trump right then, she could go to a party. Then the man told her that she could bring a friend if the friend looked like her, but she could not bring a guy, the report stated. The invitation for the party had Epstein's address on it, the woman told the FBI. How interesting. We'll be right back. Hi, it's me, David. I mostly do the commercials around here, too. Have you ever thought you'd like to do a show like this one, but a lot shorter? Maybe without necessarily waking up early each day, or even, let's say, working at it each day? Well, now you can, sort of, and by now, I mean pretty much any time you want, because what I'm talking about is you recording a news story, sharing an essay, or otherwise contributing your thoughts on these crazy times with the rest of us, and with any digital recording device. Make the show your own, as I like to say. Send me a digital file of your recording, a link to any source material, and a note about how you'd like to be identified on the air at KagroX, that's KAGROX, at gmail.com, and I'll take it from there. Don't worry about those ums and ahs either. I sure don't, but I'll even do my best to edit your submission down into a nice-sounding dispatch from the field. So come on, everybody, make the show your own. Help me prove once and for all that I'm not just imagining this audience. All right, welcome back now to the Kagro in the Morning Show here on Netroots Radio. All right, I want to finish up this story here in the New Republic about the weirdness and creepiness of the situation being reported in an interview with the FBI in 2020. And I guess as part of the Epstein files, only just now seeing the light of day. What is interesting is how it is alleged here the situation escalates so quickly. And I guess if this is an accurate description of their interaction, or if the interaction indeed took place, it's indicative of a lot of things. And I guess this is meant to, I don't know, illustrate, like there's no just innocently declining Trump's advances here, even though, of course, in court he'd say, well, now this wasn't Trump. It was somebody else who may or may not have worked for Trump. I mean, we don't know if they're just weirdos out there who, for their own particular reasons, want to pretend to be inviting people to meet Donald Trump for their own nefarious purposes. I'm sure his defense lawyers would say all of this. But this is interesting. Like, you can't just be, I'm studying in the atrium of Trump Tower, and these guys say, hey, do you want to have sex with Trump? And she said, no, thank you. No, I'm good. I'm very busy today. And they can't just say, all right, suit yourself, but hey, if you change your mind, here's a party. That's not the way they leave it. I think that's very interesting. So again, they give her an invitation to a party, and the party's got Epstein's address on it. I don't know if she recognized it as Epstein's address. I guess not. It may have said party at Jeffrey Epstein's house. If you're giving out invitations, first of all, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's such weird people. Like, if I'm Jeffrey Epstein, I guess I've hung myself in my cell already. But you would think that he would be like, well, I only want exclusive lists. He was so careful about curating his guest list. But I guess when it came to exploitative sex parties. I guess, if you're going to bring hot girls, this is Epstein. I don't know how he sounded. Then bring whoever you want. Maybe he was open to that sort of thing. But handing out invitations to somebody else's party like that, then, well, who knows? I don't know what their relationship was like, but I guess that's something. I didn't know him, he didn't know me. I'm handing out invitations to his house. Anyway, that could just be Trump being inconsiderate. But I would think if you were doing that, you would want to say, so here's where the party is. And now the guy whose house it is, even if you don't have it on the invitation, say, it's Jeffrey Epstein. Now, that's not meant to mean anything to you, and it's not supposed to scare you away either. I don't know whether you know who Epstein is. We weren't even sure you knew who Donald Trump was, even though you were sitting in Trump Tower. But, you're going to want to know, all right, I'm attending the party, ring the door. Like, who am I asking for? I ring the doorbell, and I want to know whose house it is. So they may tell her. I'm just curious about how she knew it was Epstein's address. That's all. Now watch this. Ready? So she just doesn't want to go. When she declined the invites, she said she began receiving death threats. Wow. I mean, this is like, is it on the spot? Like, I could easily have seen that conversation ending with, well, suit yourself. You're missing out on a good time. Hey, if you change your mind, give me a call. Right? Like right there in the atrium. But is she like later getting phone calls, or do they have email at the time? When did this happen? I'm not sure. Or do they just start threatening her right there? The threats, it goes on to say, consisted of the men saying they knew where she worked and could find her. I mean, they do know where she worked. They spotted her in the luxury shoe store near Trump Tower. But this just also means that they're literally walking around the block looking for hot girls to invite to party with Trump. Come meet Mr. Trump. He's meeting people today, with no pants on. So, the threats consisted of the men saying they knew where she worked and could find her. She never told the police because she did not think they would believe her, the report stated. They never approached her again. So that's nice. I hope she forgot about it after a while, but I don't know. Probably traumatized her. Over the next 6 months, the woman saw the two men continue to approach young women in the atrium at Trump Tower. I don't know why she keeps going back, but that's, and that would be the defense lawyer's questions for her. So you kept going back to the atrium of Trump Tower to do your studies and observing the men hunting and recruiting young girls, even as you were getting death threats. Like, did you think about maybe the public library or the back room of the shoe store to study in, as opposed to going back to where they were threatening your life all the time? I mean, that is a questionable decision. It makes me wonder, about the reality of it all. But all right, they never approached her again, so maybe she started to feel safe for some reason. Now, over the next 6 months, the woman saw the two men, these still the same two, continue to approach young women in the atrium at Trump Tower. She saw, quote, girls, usually blondes, approximately 15 to 16 years old, with one of the two men, and saw them get on an escalator, which I guess is the famous one, the report stated. She never saw anyone meet with Trump, and I'm sure that his defense attorneys would emphasize that. The woman also recalled a story from another woman who worked in Trump Tower, whose daughter had been brought up to meet Trump while she waited for her mother to get off work. Later, that second woman claimed that, quote, something horrible happened to her daughter that day. The daughter had dropped out of school, got into drugs, and committed suicide, the woman told the FBI. Wow. So, I mean, that's just another thing to remember about the costs of all of this abuse. These guys are running around saying, what's the big deal? We're all having a good time. But the girls are killing themselves afterwards. And, that, of course, of no interest to these guys. What do they care? Like with Steve at the press conference, well, you know how he put it. When they were done, they were done. They didn't care anymore, right? Even if it means everybody's killing themselves. While the interview was taken in June of 2020, it was not officially filed until January of 2021. I wonder why it would be that the thing was never put in any files at the FBI until January 2021. Anyway, this is just the latest allegation against the president to be uncovered from the Department of Justice's massive cache of documents on Epstein, the alleged sex trafficker. Still, former Attorney General Pam Bondi insisted that there was, quote, no evidence that Trump had committed any crime, adding to the growing pile of denials from Trump officials that constitute a sweeping cover-up of the president's alleged wrongdoing. All right. And what can I tell you? It's a new one. I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't know if it's got any legs, but it is interesting to see what they come up with. Even at this late date, reviewing the Epstein files turns up surprise after surprise after surprise. Just in terms of, like, I can't believe how explicit this description is about what Trump was up to. It's not a surprise that anybody thinks or that anybody thought Trump might be involved in such activity. All right. A couple of other things to bring to your attention. This might be a nice, we can treat it a little bit like a Friday show. On one of these Thursdays where I think it's a Friday. You might like this one. I love the process and logistics stuff and finding out what's really going on. You may have been aware, we didn't talk about it much on the show, that D.C., which did have a primary for mayor and probably some other stuff the other day, and everybody was very happy with the results, but they were very slow in counting the votes, which plays into the preferred Republican narrative about things and the things that you're trying to hammer home about California. Slow and losing, or not having good showing as Republicans equals fraud in their view. You know what they've done by way of accusing California, and now they're doing the same with D.C. And you may remember that the groundwork was being laid a long time ago. They asked Trump about a week ago before the primaries, what if this supposedly very left-leaning and maybe even socialist mayoral candidate wins the primary and then therefore goes on to win the general election in November? And his answer was, well, maybe we'll take over D.C. We'll just take it right over. And this is the candidate that they were talking about has actually won the primary, so I guess we're waiting to see. But lots of accusations from lots of corners about how long it was taking them to count the votes. Now, as I understand it, they also were using ranked choice voting, for one thing, and so that will take extra time. Not that they needed it, because I think the candidate of choice won 50% outright in the first choice ballots right from the beginning, so I don't think have to do any more calculations. But because, well, maybe I should just let them explain it. I heard an alternative explanation about why things were taking so long. It might be a part of this. It's in Notice, News of the United States. We are hearing more and more about them, of course. Martin Ostermühl and Michael Bryce Sadler are the authors of this piece from from today, early this morning, up early at 5 a.m., filing their story. Why was D.C. slow to report results on election night? And I saw it posted up on Blue Sky with basically somebody saying this is one of those weedy, nerdy stories that they probably thought I would love. They weren't aiming at me directly, but people were making complaints. What's the real story behind what happened? I don't know if this is it, but they're claiming this is it, and that's the important part. Old voting machines, ranked choice voting, and plenty of finger pointing. So what was going on? The pledge, it begins, was simple enough. Once the polls closed at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, the District of Columbia Board of Elections would quickly post the results online. Election night parties could proceed, reporters could file their stories, and residents could go to bed having some sense of the consequential election they just voted in. But that didn't happen. It is nearly 90 minutes. And I mean, boy, are we getting instant gratification sweats here or what? 90 minutes, that's nothing. Nearly 90 minutes after polls closed in the nation's capital, and there's still 0 votes counted in the Washington, D.C. mayoral primary, noted New York Times reporter Reed Epstein. And I saw Josh Barrow crying about it, too, for some reason. Alabama's polls closed at the same time, and more than 165,000 votes have been counted in the state Senate primaries. So what's going on? And the answer is, I don't know, because that's actually all that was. I didn't realize that this was one of these ones that we're going to have to crack through in order to get to the rest of it. But I'm doing it. I'm working on it. and it shouldn't take too long. I think Notice is pretty cooperative with these things. But maybe not, because it's too recent an article. Rats. That sucks. I was hoping to find out whether or not the reason I heard was in fact cited here, but I can at least I can recite for you the reasoning. Here we go. There's a slightly better opportunity to read it. So we'll continue with their piece here. We'll at least give them the courtesy of reading the rest of the piece, even if not the courtesy of subscribing to their fine publication. So where were we here? Yes. So remember, this is Reed Epstein, not Jeffrey Epstein. They start referring to him again, but just by last name. So New York Times reporter says, hey, Alabama closed at the same time, and they've counted 165,000 votes already. Why the delay? Why 0 votes 90 minutes later? That is a good question. Now, Epstein, the other one, and just about everyone else waiting on results, Notice reporters included, would have to wait almost another 90 minutes. Holy cow, you might have to order a pizza and wait before initial counts were posted at 10:47 p.m. The wait dragged on to such an extent that one top mayoral candidate, Kenyon McDuffie, who was not the top mayoral candidate, spoke to supporters before any results had been made public to tell them what was becoming apparent to everyone else: it's going to be a while. So why did it take a while when somebody won 50% of the vote right from the get-go? Gary Thompson, the chair of the elections board, says the reason for the delays is simple. There were still D.C. residents waiting to vote when polls were set to close, so election workers did what they always do and waited for them to do so. As long as they waited, no results could be released. The most important thing is the voter, he told Notice. I would rather have some in the media be annoyed than stop the voters from thinking clearly about who they want to vote for. Right? So basically they were saying, look, as long as there are people still voting, it's like exit polls. They stopped doing exit polls because they were worried about it impacting the votes of people who hadn't cast their ballots yet. Why were there still people in line? I thought the polls were closed. Well, guess what? Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Why were there lines outside some polling places? Well, there's a more complicated explanation, and it involves a new way of voting, old machines to vote on, and a tug of war between apolitical elections officials and the D.C. lawmakers who oversee and fund them. Now, it was only a 3-hour delay here, but we have comments like the title of this next section: "This is a fiasco." Is it? On Tuesday, residents could vote at any of the 75 vote centers located across the country. Gone are the days of being tied to a specific polling place based on your residential address. Now any voter can get a ballot on demand at any vote center for the specific race they'll be weighing in on. And that ballot can be on paper, which is printed on the spot, or on an electronic machine, which is preloaded with all the possible ballot combinations for any given election. By late afternoon on Tuesday, though, some vote centers were experiencing problems with their ballot printers. That happens a lot, with some running out of ink. A Notice reporter was on hand at Powell Elementary in Petworth when a printer stopped working, forcing voters to use the 3 available electronic voting machines. An embedded tweet here attests to that. It's Martin Ostermuhl's own account of it. And so that's interesting. "This is a fiasco," remarked frustrated election workers, or one frustrated election worker anyway, who asked not to be named, as the line quickly grew. The same problem was reported at Bancroft Elementary in Mount Pleasant, at Shiloh Baptist Church in Shaw, and at Noyes Elementary in Brooklyn. And I guess here, the election workers saying it's a fiasco. I'm sure it was. It felt terrible at the time, not being able to print people's ballots out when they wanted paper ballots, and darn it, the stupid printers. It does make you frustrated. It's not a reporter calling the delay of 3 hours a fiasco. We should probably point that out. All right. Let's see. Oops, I got to get this ad out of the way in order to read on. In some cases, the printers were quickly fitted with new ink cartridges. In others, though, long lines developed as voters waited to cast ballots on the electronic voting machines, and those machines were an additional source of the problem. One voter in Ward 5 said they were, quote, slower than a 10-year-old iPad, and they may in fact be, based on 10-year-old iPads. And that was a problem that D.C. lawmakers were aware of, and elections officials say haven't done anything to remedy. During a D.C. Council budget hearing last month, Board of Elections Director Monica Evans explained the board needed a one-time allocation of $2.5 million plus $90,000 in ongoing maintenance to replace 450 aging express vote ADA ballot marking devices. She noted that the machines are 10 years old and at the end of their useful life. She went on to explain that there have been increased problems with the touchscreen and that it's taking longer to mark choices, issues the board saw crop up in the 2024 election and were also evident in Tuesday evening's long lines. The current machines have issues including unresponsive touchscreens that frustrate voters and undermine confidence in the election process, Evans testified. She said the vendor supplying the machines also told the board it was time to replace the equipment. The shift to ranked choice voting, Evans added, only exacerbated the problem by naturally causing voters to spend more time at the machines. In some cases that Notice reporters observed, voters could spend up to 20 or more minutes navigating through the many pages of the longer ballot on the electronic voting machines. Wow. Evans also warned of the broader implications. Malfunctioning equipment also directly erodes public trust, especially as the Board of Elections implements ranked choice voting, which requires highly responsive and accurate ballot marking devices. While elections officials acknowledged during the May hearing that it was already too late to deploy new equipment in time for the June primary, the aim was to secure funding and get new machines in place ahead of the general election, helping to maintain the credibility of the district's electoral process, Evans said. Next section is called He's Out of His Mind. What's this about? In an interview with Notice, Thompson said the Elections Board has long been stymied by the council in its requests for funding to replace outdated electronic voting machines. He said that's especially the case with council member Anita Bonds, who chairs the committee that oversees the Elections Board. She doesn't understand our needs. She hasn't been responsive to them. She's been unhelpful for a while, he said. We threw up our hands and said, we have to keep calm and carry on, do what we have to do. We'll use these slightly outdated machines, and we're going to figure it out. For her part, Bonds called the primary night delays upsetting, but told Notice that she was under the impression the current machines, which are set to be replaced for the general election, could withstand one last citywide vote, but I guess then didn't do it very well. But we were not expecting it to be nearly 2 hours, Bonds said of some of the lines, noting that she did not anticipate compounding equipment malfunctions like printers running out of ink. As to Thompson's accusation that she hadn't supported his request for funding and assistance, she fired back directly. He's out of his mind, she said, adding that the agency's day-to-day staff would readily disagree with his assessment. Alice Miller, a senior policy advisor and former executive director with the Elections Board, similarly disputed Thompson's characterization of the council member, adding that Bonds has, quote, really tried to advocate to get us what we need, unquote. So, differing opinions there. Beyond voting technology, though, Thompson also said that human nature may have played a role in the lines at polling places and delayed reporting of election results. I started going to vote centers yesterday morning, and they were pretty empty. And as the day went on, a lot of people left it until the last minute, he said. D.C. sent every registered voter a mail ballot in mid-May and had a week-long period of early voting before the primary election. While Tuesday's delays have passed, there's still more waiting to come. Tens of thousands of late-arriving mail ballots have yet to be counted, meaning that the first tabulation rounds under ranked choice voting may not happen until this weekend. So I guess there is some question on the rankings after all. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting and a good point in learning why the delays happened. If you were interested in debunking the claims of fraud that might come along with it, or just the general complaints about how come it's taking so long. Well, if you actually give everyone the chance to vote and give everyone the chance to do this ranked choice voting thing, which I understand the attraction, but it's also kind of annoying and stupid in many ways. But you're better off, I think it's better off giving people the opportunity to learn it and become comfortable with it and reflect more normal choices than we sometimes get with the stupid first past the post system. That's all perhaps worth it, and these are just growing pains. But then if you're going to cry about it taking so long, yeah, people are being more deliberate in casting their vote. That's actually good, and we want that. As for malfunctioning equipment, well, that we don't want, obviously. But seem to go together. All right, following up on another story from yesterday, I'll just put it to you this way. Yesterday, I think we were talking about Trump wanting to delay the confirmation hearings for Jay Clayton, who is supposedly his permanent nomination for the role of Director of National Intelligence, to replace Bill Pulte. But Greg described for you the shenanigans that were going on. And one thing I wanted to point out is if he leaves Pulte in the position of acting DNI, how long has he gotten? I think for acting officials, we're talking about 120 days. And at this stage of the game, that's really all there is. There's just over 120. I think we're at 100 and, I don't know, just tasting 138 days till the midterm elections. If 120 of them, Bill Pulte gets to serve as DNI, what's the point, right? So he can force it to last pretty much the rest of the of this Congress. Afterwards, you know what kind of shenanigans they pulled to try to keep some of the U.S. attorneys in office. They will, of course, insist that the court decisions that force those U.S. attorneys out don't apply for whatever reason in this case. And they will be wrong, but will it take the courts longer than a couple of days to force him out of the position if necessary? Yes, sure. 138 days until the midterm elections. It's 199 days, provided we have those elections, until we seat the new Congress that is thereby elected. So, if you drag your feet, it's basically for the rest of the Congress, and then he'll see how things work out after that. Now, if it goes as expected, there's even less chance that Pulte would be confirmed to the job on a permanent basis. But anyway, yesterday's drama was Trump says, "Oh yeah, well then I'll keep Pulte for now, and I hereby cancel the confirmation hearing for Jay Clayton." And then there was this brief moment during which Republicans in the Senate said, "Hey, now wait a second. We're the ones who decide whether or not to schedule a confirmation hearing." And I think Tom Cotton maybe was in charge of this one, and he decided to push back and say, "Look, we're the ones who schedule this stuff. You can't tell us that we're having our hearing canceled unless you can." It's basically it. This is the way Trump operates with everything. He does not have the power to cancel a congressional hearing. They're right about that. But he says, unless, of course, the president orders Clayton not to appear at the hearing we've called, in which case I guess we will cancel the hearing, because what's the point of having a hearing when he doesn't show up? Now, you could have the hearing and you could say, well, guess what? I find that I came here to say that I find him unqualified to the position, but now I find him further unqualified for the position because he is just too personally loyal to Trump. This is his confirmation hearing. He wouldn't even show up to his own confirmation hearing. He's not a serious person. He's not qualified for the job. He'll obviously do whatever it is Trump demands of him. So if we were hoping to sidestep that bullet with Pulte, too bad. We're going to get it with Clayton, and I'm not going to vote for him. But instead, they knuckled under and said, well, I guess we'll cancel all our thing anyway. And that is now understood by both Trump and members of Congress as, well, I guess if Trump declares that Congress isn't going to have a hearing, then Congress isn't going to have a hearing. Well, not quite. It was, achieved by a different mechanism, and you should be aware of that. But, I'm sure they'll all regard it as Trump having forced it to happen. That's the latest news of it. I think I had something from Democracy Docket, whose headline at the time was Trump aims to delay Intel chief confirmation hearing to force Save America Act vote. And in that article, I think it was it Tom Cotton who was saying, you can't push us around, we're going ahead. Unless, of course, the guy doesn't show up. And then PBS reported a couple hours later, Clayton confirmation hearing postponed as Trump tries to push Senate on voter ID bill, which is, a bad way of referring to Save America Act. But there it is. So, you can't do this to us. Yes, I can. Okay, I guess you can. And that's the answer. All right. That's it for that story, because I don't have time to go into any further depth about this. And then the story I meant to save for discussion with Greg, and we'll get back to it on Monday maybe, but I just wanted to put this one out there too. Where does this one come from? Let's open it up real quick. And the AP News reporting that the other Dan Sullivan up in Alaska, right, challenger with same name as U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan, is ineligible for Alaska ballot, official says. Well, that's too bad. So sad. But an interesting ruling, nonetheless. Becky Borer wrote this for the AP. A top Alaska elections official on Monday ruled that a U.S. Senate candidate with the same name and party affiliation as Republican incumbent Dan Sullivan is ineligible to appear on the state's August primary ballot. Why? Division of Election Director Carol Beecher, in a letter sent to the challenger Sullivan, said she concluded that his declaration of candidacy, quote, was not filed in order to declare an actual good faith candidacy for the office of the United States Senator, but was instead filed with a purpose to confuse or mislead and to thereby compromise the ballot's fairness or neutrality. I see your point. I'm not certain it's the strongest ruling I've ever heard. The challenger can appeal the ruling, she said, while noting ballots are due to be printed June 28th. So I guess even if you win your challenge, too late. A text message seeking comment from Sullivan, the challenger, was not immediately returned. He previously said he anticipated making a decision on whether to pursue an appeal by early this week. In a social media post on Sunday, he said he met the qualification, and I entered this race because I am unhappy with the 12-year record of the current senator, and I feel we need a change. It's that simple. Can't tell, though, whether he's doing it with a wink and a nod or not. Very interesting as a precedent. I don't know if it's applicable across other state lines, but every once in a while some joker thinks of doing this, and it's interesting to see it being dealt with this way. How odd.
Netrootsradio.com. You have been listening to Kagro in the Morning with David Waldman.
All right, well, as I said, I will be off the air tomorrow. I just don't think I can produce a show in good time for this, but we'll pick some fun rerun that's fun and informative. And, of course, in the meantime, you have Justice Putnam with the West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy next today and tomorrow right here on Netroots Radio. Have a great weekend. We'll see you at the end.